All right. Hi, I'm Liz.
Hello, I'm Caroline from Fust Lab. Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So I was just talking to Caroline about this innovative technology to remove PFAS from water, and it's a huge issue here in the U.S. and I know from I'm sure in other places as well. And typically, she was mentioning that it's treated using filters, and so this is extremely innovative because it's using a completely different process.
Yeah.
So if you just want to give us kind of an overview of what that process.
We use ultrasound as our core technology to remove and actually degrade PFAS. If you can see from our brochure, this is how our ultrasonic radiator looks like. It's a cylindrical form, and as the ultrasound is concentrated in the center, tens of thousands of microbubbles are formed, and as these bubbles burst, the OH radicals are formed, and also the microjet powers as also formed, meaning that physio and chemical reaction happens to really break the bonds of the PFAS, these long chains. And we, as the water runs through, the PFAS is fully degraded into a single floating particles, and that's how the degradation happens.
So, for people that don't know what PFAS is, what makes it specifically difficult to remove from wastewater?
Yeah, PFAS is known as the forever chemical, I'm sure more widely known, and it is one of the most complex and really well-formed chemical compound, which makes it very difficult to be biodegraded. It takes about 40 to 50 years to be degraded, and yet even trace amounts of PFAS could be very, very deadly to us. It can cause cancer, it can cause organ disruptions, and that's why the EPA and the EU has already banned it in drinking water, and there will be an industrial ban in the next year.
Yeah.
And yet no sufficient technology to degrade it.
Well, and it seems like even these bans, I know, my home state in Minnesota, they just banned PFAS from, pharmaceuticals, not pharmaceuticals, cosmetics,
right,
and different consumer products. So,
our jackets too.
Yeah,
right.
But we ban it now, but it's a forever chemical, so
exactly,
it's still in the environment,
exactly,
and it's something that we're going to be treating for
right,
a long time.
So there needs to be a total ban of PFAS starting now, but industry still needs to, and some PFAS actually are just formed as the process is happening. Even if we don't use PFAS, as the chemical process just happens, PFAS are created, and that's why there needs to be a degradation technology to really remove PFAS, and also a regulation to not use PFAS as well.
Yeah, so out of curiosity, when this process happens, I guess two things. So what are the chemicals that you're left with? Is it just a carbon, a hydrocarbon chain, something that's easily removed from the wastewater?
Yeah, it would be a much shorter, some shorter chains are available which could be biodegraded. However, shorter chains could be misleading, but we would say free-floating fluorine or free-floating compounds are left over, and we actually conducted various toxicity testing using zebrafish embryo and also human cells, and we found out the toxicity levels have also decreased, and the survival rates have also increased dramatically after the water has been treated.
So with this technology, is energy a concern? It seems like a very energy-intensive process.
Yeah, that's a great question. So currently in the industry, the advanced oxidation process is being used to degrade PFAS, and those are very energy-intensive process because there needs to be ozone generator, hydrogen peroxide generator, and versa. However, ours is just an ultrasound device, meaning that it has been modified. This has been developed for 15 years. It has been modified to be highly energy optimized. So I would say the energy consumption is about half or even lower than the regular conventional technology.
Okay, cool. Well, and with this technology, you're also, not only is it a physical process, but then it's chemical. So it's kind of compounding, right?
Right.
Cool. And then is this in place in any current wastewater plants?
Yeah, so currently we are released domestically in Korea, and our equipment is being used by K-Water, where we're also exhibiting as well, and we also collaborate with the SK Eco Plant, which is a very big petro company in Korea, to remove toxic materials, and also we have been selected to be continuing a proof of concept with the AstraZeneca because they want to expand and use our technology for both PFAS and pharma waste. Getting away from the actual filtration, which involves incineration and landfill and so on.
Right.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you're leading to more waste in those
right.
processes.
Yeah.
It's like, well, kind of like tagging along with the conventional process, like, are you seeing any concerning or like potential hazardous byproducts from using something like this? Or what is,
that's,
you mentioned no tox, lower
right.
toxicity, but what are you left with?
That's a great question. So we believe that because we did toxicity tests with the actual real wastewater, and we found that the survival rates have all increased, and it has passed the toxicity test. So because we don't use ozone or any additives,
right? We don't have the byproducts,
right?
Or the chemical byproducts,
right? Exactly.
Okay. Would there be any like further treatment that you would recommend like after this type of process?
Yeah, that's a great question. Because our technology is specifically dedicated on degrading toxic chemicals, we would say once the toxic chemicals that cannot be removed by the conventional wastewater treatment plants, we would first pre-treat it, and then those water can be then released to the wastewater treatment plants, the municipal or any other or industrial, so that it could be happening. Yes, next.
Yeah. Super cool.
Thank you.
All right. So Carolyn, thank you so much. Okay. So yeah, this is very interesting. You guys are basically using like micro cavitations, and then can you actually see it when it's filtering? Because I know that when the bubbles collapse, they have it creates light, right? Like little photons that come out. So it's high energy.
Right.
And you're able to use this phenomenon to basically break the chemical bonds of the PFAS, right?
Are you breaking the chemical bonds of the PFAS, or is it like to produce the OH negative ions? Is that the purpose?
It's both. It's the cavitation that actually breaks the bonds because it's physical, and also the UV lights that comes out of ultrasound, and it's a mixture of OH radicals that breaks down the PFAS.
So in this this diagram, how long is this tube?
Well, this itself is about a few centimeters long, but there's multiple irradiator inside our equipment, and that could be customized based on the need and the wastewater.
Okay, so you guys are basically able to measure the concentration of PFAS of the feedstock or any type of contaminant within the water, and then you can tailor that, because I would imagine you have to have multiple stages in order to get a tolerable byproduct of the H2O.
Yeah.
Okay, that's extremely interesting. I have to ask you about costs. So at this point, with this machine, how big is this guy?
Well,
this Cavitox?
This machine is about 160 centimeters tall.
So that's around my height?
And it's about the similar width. Currently, the price of the U.S. market is not set, so it's hard for me to...
Can you give us a rough order of magnitude?
Magnitude is...
Yeah, like is it 100 grand? Is it $1 million? Is it $10 million for one of these?
I think it would be hard for me to answer
it's hard?
at the moment.
Yeah,
exactly. The whole
the configuration
system, Okay.
Because I'm looking at this, and in America, not only do you have customers that are municipalities and governmental organizations, you might have private buyers, right? Who are very concerned about PFAS in their well water. So as opposed to having all the reverse osmosis filters on their pipe, they could purchase one of these machines, and it's only feeding a family of 4 or a little community. So I was just wondering if that would be an option for people in the US.
That's a great question. But yes, that it is an option, of course, that could be explored. However, currently we're focused more on the industrial areas or more of a highly concentrated, where these water concentrated PFAS is continuously being produced. And that's where these equipments that could really break the bonds is necessary before the water is released to the environment or released to the wastewater treatment.
Yeah. Are there, so when this gets broken down and the chemicals the PFAS are broken down into their like constituent molecules, do you then have to have any back treatment on like post treatment? Do you take that out of the water, or does it just settle down in a tank? Like, how does that work?
Because PFAS is a chemical compound,
yeah.
So it wouldn't settle down. Rather, it would be broken down into single free-floating particles, and that can then, such as free-floating fluorine, those can be then transferred into a wastewater treatment plant where they use biodegradation, or those etc. Chlorine could be also then remove it and such.
Awesome. Cool. Is there anything else that you want to tell people about, the uniqueness of this process. I think I've never seen this before. So,
Right. Yeah. I think this technology could really solve a PFAS issue in the industries really that needs to get rid of PFAS due to the regulation really for the future of our community. So please contact us if you're interested. And those are my last words. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.